So, Nicholas, can you tell me a little about your background, where you grew up?
Sure. I grew up in Austin, Texas. Born and raised. Like, whole family's from Austin, Texas. Both my parents are from there. Went to college there. Went to grad school there. And then moved up here.
So Austin has one of the best music scenes in the country. Did
Totally.
that contribute to you getting into music?
Maybe. Definitely indirectly. My grandmother was, an elementary school music teacher, and we always just kind of had music in the house. Like my dad was in a rock and roll band off and on, and for fun, and everybody kind of sang. So it's just, and we sang at church. So it just kind of was always around. And definitely with Austin, we had great things coming through, like all different types, from jazz to Willie Nelson. There's always something going around. So Stevie Ray Vaughan. So it definitely, I think, led to like my wide berth of types of music that I like.
So you probably were singing from birth, or?
Yeah, pretty much. It just kind of started happening. I definitely remember singing in the church choir when I was a little kid, and being the youngest person in the church choir. But definitely didn't know I didn't start pursuing it until like high school. So, but it was always something I liked to do for fun. So, yeah.
So in high school, that's the point you decided I want to pursue this as a career?
Yeah, it started out in high school. My dad was the football coach at my high school, and I had to catch a ride with him to school. So we got there super early because they had football practice before school, and they had the show choir met before school, so it was a way to kill time. Basically before school started, and just instantly liked it and had a great teacher. And then one thing led to another, and I was like, oh, I'm kind of good at this, and people are reacting to it. So then from there, by senior year, I was like, definitely this is what I'm doing. I'm going to be a singer.
So, and you didn't play football?
I didn't. No, I think I was one of the few. I didn't play it in high school. I played it in junior high, but not in high school.
What position?
I was a tailback in junior high.
What did your dad say? Did he want you to be like?
We played every single sport growing. We just went from season to season, from football to basketball to baseball. We ran track, played tennis, and then when something wasn't in season, I took gymnastics and karate, and my little brother did the same thing. So we just kind of, so as long as my dad, as long as we were doing something and staying active, he pretty much, let us pick the ones that we were good at. I wasn't particularly good at football. I have a tendency to talk back, and coaches don't particularly like that in football. So my dad was like pleased for me to be like in the individual sports like tennis or basketball, where it was too fast for me to argue, so.
Soaps and football are my two favorite things.
Oh, really?
So maybe I should interview your dad next.
Yeah, okay, go for it.
Still coaching?
He is. He coaches still in Austin, Texas, yeah.
So Austin, Texas, University of Texas.
Uh-huh.
Football is like, isn't it like
paramount?
The music scene is big there, but
yeah.
Football is like the thing, right?
Yeah, it's totally Friday Night Lights. That's shot in my hometown. Being a coach's kid, I always grew up, even from elementary school when he was coaching, you would go to the high school football games. So then, of course, when you're in high school, you go to the high school football games, and then college, you go to the Texas games. You just don't really miss it. So.
Friday Night Lights is my favorite show, actually. I would love to see you on that. That would be.
Yeah, it would be fun. It would be fun, especially since it shoots in my hometown. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So you went to the University of Texas.
I did.
What was your major?
I was a music major.
Music major.
Yeah.
Did you do acting in high school, or was it mostly singing?
I did. I was in the drama group in high school, and that's where definitely I got the bug. I had the most amazing teacher, Betsy. Actually, she was just up here a couple of weeks ago and saw me in the show I was doing here. And we stay in touch, And then from there, I started branching out. Towards the senior year, I got the opportunity to do one of the local professional plays. They needed a 17-year-old kid, and I happened to be a 17-year-old kid. And got to meet people that were doing it in the community, both, for fun and professionally. Met some New York actors and thought, oh, this is incredible and a good time. So from then, it just kind of took off. And even in college, when I was majoring in music and classical voice, I still found time to, do plays in the community, to work on those chops too.
Right.
But I didn't study acting in college. Other than what's associated with being an opera major, they're two totally different things. So.
Did you ever have a Southern accent?
I did. And after 2 beers, watch it, it'll come out.
Me too.
Well, you have one right now. I'm assuming you haven't had 2 beers at 10:30 in the morning, but you are from Tennessee, so who knows?
Yes, and I'm also married to my sister. So at what point did you move to New York?
I moved here just about this time, actually, September 5th, 2001. So, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Right before 9/11.
Right before, like the week before.
Did that make you want to go back?
No, honestly, it's pretty, it's interesting to talk about because it was such an intense time, but it's something that definitely cemented me as part of the fabric of being here and being part of the community. And I think it's hard for people that are outside of New York to really fully understand the sense of community that happened here, and because of, just shortly after I got one of my first kind of big breaks, they lost an actor. I got a call from Harrisburg Opera. They were starting rehearsals on the 17th to do Candide, and one of their actors dropped out because he didn't want to travel and leave his family because of September 11th. So the conductor knew me, called me. I'd worked with him in grad school, and I kind of got my first job and my first agent all because of that. So, it definitely cemented me as part of the fabric here.
Now, you've done tons of shows, but your Broadway debut was as Tarzan?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
What was that like?
Oh, it was intense. Especially to work for Disney, which is such a great machine, and they take such great care of their people, and there's such vision. I wasn't part of the original company, so I had the benefit of watching the show, getting called to audition, seeing the show, saying, great, I'd love to do that, and then getting the part. So I actually got to audition on the stage, which is huge. For your first Broadway show, it doesn't always happen that way. And I'll never forget the first time I went on as Tarzan. I did the show. It's just like doing any other show, Didn't really think about it being on Broadway, per se, just working with great actors and trying to get through it because it was my first time. Until I remember running out from the wings and rounding the corner to take my bow, which is the last bow. You meet Jane in the middle and you run down and you're Tarzan, and then all of a sudden you're like, holy cow, I just played the lead in a Broadway show. And I remember telling my dad, trying to explain to him, in football terms, there's X number of, starting quarterbacks in the NFL. And right now, at any given time, there's 13 or 14 leading men on Broadway. And tonight, I was one of them, So it was the way I, equated it, it was kind of the pinnacle of what I had dreamed to do, so.
What did your parents say about you wanted to pursue this entertainment career, you moved to New York?
100% supportive. 100%. There's nothing more I can say. I think at one point in college, I did put myself through college. I worked 2 or 3 jobs to pay for it. So they pretty much said, hey, you're doing it, so do what you want. And I think around freshman or sophomore, no, definitely freshman year, they said, do you think you should have something to fall back on? And I said, no, because if I have something to fall back on, chances are I'll fall back. But if this is what I do, I'll just do it. And they said, okay, great. Then be good at it. That's pretty much all they said. So
you have a huge list of theater credits, including Ten Commandments with Val Kilmer.
Yep.
And some guy named Adam Lambert.
Who?
I think Adam Lambert.
Yeah.
But what's been your most memorable theater experience of them all?
Oh gosh, I don't know. They all have such specific memories, so it's really hard to say what's the most memorable. There's some that I'm just particular performances. Obviously Ten Commandments is chock full of stories and what an interesting time in my life, and to get to work with those people and the way it happened, but it wasn't necessarily a critical success, So I think looking back, I tend to remember the ones that you walked off that stage and you thought, wow, I did that, Like Jesus Christ Superstar and that I did in Boston was one of those for me. Just getting to work with a really great director and getting to play Jesus again was really cool experience, and the audience reaction and the way people responded to it was really wonderful. Playing Che and Evita was a thrill. Playing Claude and Hair in Paris. It was like I'm in Paris doing Hair. So I've had some really, they're all special in their own way. Some were successful critically and some were not, but they still, learned something.